Hi, good afternoon. And welcome to our case study Tech Talk presentation of better decisions through lean discipline and connected data. Just a quick introduction. My name is Susanna Ahmed. I am a principal agile consultant here at CA Technologies. I've worked at CA for about 2.5 years. Came from a background of project and portfolio management. And I've been working with this customer, KMD, for the last, little over a year, since about July of 2016. And so that's me.
Hi everybody, my name is Martin Dremo. I'm from KMD and I'm a portfolio manager at KMD. I've been with KMD for a little bit more than 2 years. This is my first time here at CA World. Yeah. All right, so let's see if we can kick this off. I know it says something on the introduction here, but what we want to go through here is really what is KMD, of course, but then the challenge that we stood in front of in 2015 when we started the search for a new tool. The selection that we made and the selection criteria, why we chose CA, where we are in the project implementation right now, and then the partnership and going forward, and what that looks like. So, what is KMD? If you're a Danish national, everybody knows what KMD does. KMD is by far Denmark's largest software company. It has 3,500 employees and a mainly Nordic footprint. It makes software solutions for municipals, regions and governments in Denmark, but we also have some 800 companies as our customers. It's an old company when it comes to the IT sector. We've existed since 1972, and our current ownership is from Advent International and Sampanford. And if you look at our system, the ones we provide, around 20% of the Danish GDP goes through our systems. So in Denmark, we are known. Let's take you back to 2015. We stood in front of a challenge of selecting a new PPM tool or new tool for our business. KMD basically consists of 5 different businesses in one. We had customer projects, in-house projects, product development, AMS setups, and operations. We did an initial preliminary study where we looked at the tool setup. And we could see that we had lots of different tools. We used the tools in lots of different ways, depending on where you were in the organization. There was not one way of doing things. We also had different setups on the projects. Agile and waterfall project models, where for our internal software development, we mainly use an agile setup or an iterative setup. And for the external customer-driven projects, it was often waterfall, driven in a waterfall manner. The governance, we had different ways of governing our project depending on which business organization you belong to. And we were missing a top-level governance, basically. For our project managers, we didn't have one way of working. We were dependent on the individual skills of the PM. And it was very hard to introduce new staff to KMD. Each PM had to develop his own or her own tool sets. And of course, as any other company, we had a previous history of collapsed initiatives. Collapsed initiatives in how to run projects or collapsed initiatives with different tool setups. So the selection started about the summer in 2015. I wasn't at KMD at this point. All major players were invited and were screened, and we had initial selection. In January 2016, we were down to 3 contenders for a PPM solution, and I think for the Agile Center solution, we're basically focusing in on one. The key requirements that we were looking at was a tool and a tool chain that could take care and handle a waterfall, agile, and a hybrid project setup. Multiple project objects, like projects, products, AMS, maintenance, and so on. We were looking for a best-in-class tool, but also a best-in-suite. If we had to select, it was going to be the best-in-class. And that's why both Agile Center and PPM were selected on its own merits. We were looking for an integrated solution, both between the Agile setup and the PPM setup, but also to other key systems like SAP or SuccessFactors, Microsoft Project, and other Agile tools that we were using. We wanted a tool chain that was process enforcement, that drove that so that we could make sure that people were working in one way at KMD. And we were looking for an out-of-the-box solution in a SaaS environment. Moving ahead, again, Agile Center was selected on its own merits and PPM on its own. What you see here is the last, or the aggregated scorecard for the different contenders that we had. And over on this side, that's where we have CA PPM. It was clearly the choice of the organization to go with CA PPM.
And then I would add at this time, but from the CA perspective, we recognized, and I was not part of this process, but bringing in, we recognized aspirationally where KMD wanted to go was where we wanted to go. At this point, CA had just relatively recently purchased Rally, and the products that once were competitive against each other, that we would, they now needed to work together, and this was the first customer that saw the potential of the better together and said, you know what, this is a holistic solution. So that was almost innovative in a way of KMD for recognizing that almost before we did, or seeing the potential.
Yes. About the same time as we did this, we also increased, more or less doubled the scope by adding resource management to the scope list. KMD wanted a holistic solution for all these processes. So we had chosen CA PPM, and we had chosen Agile Center. We hadn't signed a contract at this point. We were believing in something. I remember where Kurt Steiner was over and selling the new UI for PPM. We still don't have that. We are on 14.4, but we are looking forward to it. Yep. What happens after this was that we started to try to understand the tool in a KMD context, both Agile Center and PPM. And in doing so, at one point we asked to see a demonstration of the promised integration between Agile Center and PPM. And Bo, who's in the audience and was responsible for the Agile Center implementation and selection, I think both you and I, we tore our hair out. Mine hasn't grown back. And it wasn't exactly what we expected at that point.
Yes, to say it was still very aspirational
Yes.
is an understatement.
Yes.
And I think and this is again just before my time, but there was a meeting then in Aalborg, Denmark, workshop that, we didn't know it at the time, but it was the first Better Together meeting for CA.
Yes. I think that meeting is the one that kicked off the corporations that we have today.
Yes.
In that meeting, we defined what feature set we wanted to see in an integration between Agile Center and PPM. And I think today, our feature set is a bit bigger than the out-of-the-box one.
Yes.
Of course, we want to see it becoming the out-of-the-box solution. Yeah. So, where are we now?
So the contract was signed in June of 2016. We really officially kicked it off in late July, early August. I mainly worked with the Agile Central team, and we successfully set up I think, a very strong Agile COE, enabled them to onboard. They did the bulk of their own onboarding, so we did a lot of train the trainer, some custom development that they needed for timesheets, etc. But we got that done, and now there are 1,000 plus Agile Central users within KMD. We have over 30,000 user stories in use at KMD. And then Martin really has driven the PPM implementation.
Uh, when we started off the contract, we started configuring PPM, and we were ready to educate our community in starting with that in April this year. At that time, we also introduced a new way of working. We call the process project. Mike. So in May, we educated everyone at KMD, both on the project side and on the resource management side of it. We have some 220 educated project managers and 200 and something educated resource managers using the system right now. We have also decommissioned a lot of the old tools that we had. We decommissioned the project management tool that were in use. We decommissioned the different resource management tools that we'll be using as well. Given that we have been active for about 6 months, we are about halfway through in our implementation. Not everybody has created risks in the system, or not everyone has written their first status report in the system, but we are about halfway there. And this is something that we're working very hard on improving on a day-to-day basis. We have, however, more than 400 objects in the system. We have all resource management in the system, and is in full use in that capacity. And we use that data to drive our financial management as well. We're working a lot on our integrations. Currently, we have a couple of SAP integrations in place. We have skill sets being integrated directly from SuccessFactors. We have a first cost integration that we're trying out, and we are integrating our OBS structures from SAP into PPM as well. In the coming month, we are going to see much more integrations coming in place, resource integration fully, but also a detailed level on the cost integration. And then actually in Q1 next year, we're going to have the benefits integration in place, and at that point we can follow up on our business cases as well. We are slowly bringing this out. We are finding initial bugs like anybody else. We are starting to use the system. We are also starting to use the PPM and Agile Center integration. And of course, when you start using it, you want more. You want more features. You want to work in a specific way. And that's where we're now talking to CA as well and trying to get a partnership around that model.
So one thing that we realized, and this was a painful realization, this has not been a smooth road that we've been on, this being our first foray into this as well. We had a realization that, first of all, we need to learn how to implement this holistically and together, because the first lesson that we learned was we need to work together. And when I mean that, I mean CA, Agile Central, PPM are one team, and we went in not acting as one team. And then with KMD, I think it was a similar situation. The Agile and the PPM teams weren't exactly one team either. And so that was really a critical realization that we came to. And it helped drive us to create this modern business management internal Tiger team that we've created within CA, that is a mix of people from the Agile side and the mix of people from the PPM side. And we've been meeting on a regular cadence for the last 8 months, trying to work through some of these challenges, which we'll get into in just a moment.
Yes, challenges, of course. Not everything is going well in a project. And I think very late here, we said we have to tell what went well as well. We always focus on the negative things, but right now we have one project model at KMD. We have educated all of our PMs. We have one way of working, and we have it implemented in a tool. We have different objects for different purposes. We have projects, we have products, we have AMS setups, programs, and they don't follow the same governance model and so on. And that is making sense to our managers right now. We are envisioning our business cases in hierarchies. We haven't been able to do that before. So we spend a lot of time understanding how our business cases are built up and trying to model that in a good way. And our processes are connected. If I create a demand in a role, I can get my basic financials in PPM based on that. I can request resources and I will be getting resources. We are using that for the financial management and we are reporting in the same tool. Everything is now connected the way it's not been before. But then again, not everything goes well in a project.
Again, so I think we sold an aspiration of where we wanted to be and where KMD wanted to be. So now the challenge is actually fulfilling those aspirations and realizing them. So the current version that KMD is on, the integration and the UI are not really what was originally expected. So our first goal, and as a partnership, we've decided to come together and work together to build this out, and not only build out the product, but also our services approach to delivering that product. We partnered with KMD to do. And the first thing we want to do is get them to the newest UI, which is version 15.3. And we're working to get that set up now, and we believe that will address a lot of the issues that you've had.
I think these issues that we see, you will always have them in a project. There will always be problems, but it is how you solve them that matters. We sat down in June this year in a group and went through the pains that we had in KMD. And that was really the kickoff for the cooperation that we're looking forward to now. At that point, in that meeting, we understood that we have a common interest. KMD for sure, we want to improve the SaaS setup of PPM. We want to be version agnostic. We don't want to have to care about 15.3 or 15.4. Give me the latest and greatest, and always that one. We want to use an out-of-the-box feature set. And we want to partner with CA Technologies to share development cost, to co-develop, to have a common roadmap, and to improve the user experience. And I think our goals and our interest matches the ones of CA.
Right. So from our perspective at CA, we also want to improve the SaaS setup of PPM and become more version agnostic. We want to get our customers to a place. Agile Central is very version agnostic. The goal is to get PPM to that same level, and to get the integration to be fully holistic and seamless, that where the systems talk to each other so well you can hardly notice the difference between the two. And so that's aspirationally where we want to be. So partnering with KMD, we're going to you get their customer feedback using the platforms to tell us the product needs to do this, the product could work better this way. And this has already started. Martin has already met with our product teams and meeting with our product strategy for long-term roadmap, and they will have a voice now in our future development. And we'll have a common roadmap and an improved user experience, because we feel like the challenges that KMD has will be shared by most customers that are adopting these solutions.
When we selected this slide, I'm not sure you can see it, but there is a child pushing the other one. Which one is KMD, which one is CA? I think it could be either way. Yeah. we want to push CA to deliver better tools and take ownership of the feature set that we want at KMD. At the same time, CA can push us to be better, to show us what is best practices in the world, and to improve our ways of working.
And we have found, and through this process, and we have to learn too, we have some very talented architects and services folks, but they, again, have never done this together. And we have found, working with KMD, what questions need to be asked, who needs to be in the room, and also when they need to be asked. And we have built upon that, and we are building actually a discovery offering within our services team to work with customers to address these questions, because we have already started seeing some of the same challenges in other customers that are doing these early adoptions. Now that we are gotten better, we know what to come in and tell our customers to say. Okay, we've been in the trenches here already, and this is our recommendation, and this is what we think you should be doing, and who should be part of the conversation.
So, what are we doing right now? We're focusing on completing the stuff that we started, getting the integrations in place, create the baseline, find the solutions and alleviate any pains that we have, and then of course move to the latest platform for PPM. That's important to us. And then develop the future roadmap. In a way, I think we are where we started off 2 years ago. It was a promise that this tool and tool chain could do. Right now we're in the same situation. It's a promise of where this can lead us, really.
Yeah, I think the aspirations are the same. We feel very confident at this point that we know how to make the aspirations a reality. We're very excited about that. And we're hoping that in a year's time, we come to CA World 18 with a part 2 to this story and see where we are.
We like to be invited again.
Yes.
Yeah.